Welcome to Wax Poetic Pro Wrestling. I'm your host, JC. This is actually my first episode of this show. I've been a lifelong pro wrestling fan for close to 40 years now. Starting a YouTube channel. This is actually a special episode with guests. We're going to be discussing all things AEW. We're about an hour away from the Dynamite Rampage here in Buffalo, New York this evening. We're at the Friendly Buffet and Friendly Chinese Buffet in Buffalo, New York. If you haven't been there, it's excellent.
800 Harlem Road.
800 Harlem Road in Buffalo, New York. Tops Plaza. So we're here discussing all things AEW pre-show. We are joined today by our guests. First, we got my cousin David there, my friend Rigo. We got friend Sarah. And we got John. He's also a local referee, so if you might recognize him. We're here discussing all things AEW. So, the first topic of discussion, I think, has to be the CM Punk, Young Bucks, Kenny Omega saga, resulting from the media scrum, and then an altercation that happened shortly thereafter the media scrum. Everything in AEW was kind of flipped upside down, and there's all kinds of drama going on, and we got something monumental is going to happen tonight. I can definitely feel it. So, first of all, let me give you everybody's thoughts on the situation. How do you feel about it, John?
I think CM Punk was very unprofessional during the press conference, and if you want to drag stuff through, don't do it after a huge show like that. If you want to do it, just do it off camera so you're not bringing in the company and stuff like that.
I agree with that.
It was just so unprofessional. And I'm not a big fan of CM Punk to begin with.
Okay, we'll note that.
But that alone was just bad PR for like the company and his wrestling and
I agree.
stuff
I
like
agree.
that.
That's what punk people do. You know,
there is definitely an element of truth to that, because he does have that attitude, like, I'm gonna fight the man, and like the powers that be, I'm gonna fight them all, and but sometimes you get yourself into trouble. Take it from me, I've kind of fought the man many times myself, and most of the time I've lost.
Right.
So,
there should be a point in your life where, like John said, you need to keep that off camera.
I agree.
If it's like personal stuff, like bringing like financial stuff of another person and stuff, and the EVP of AEW, you want to keep that behind the curtains and not bring it out to the public, because what I've seen in the press conference there, no one really asked about how do you feel about Colton.
No, he came in hot.
Yeah, he came in hot, blazing.
Well, he came in hot because he was blindsided, but then he did the same thing to other people. Obviously, he didn't like being blindsided, and then he did it himself, so it seems kind of silly.
Right, exactly. It's kind of tit for tat, I suppose, but it's like, come on, man, you're 43. But at the same time, after it all happened, or apparently, this is not 100% confirmed, but apparently, the Elite stormed to his locker room and they banged on the door and he wouldn't answer. And finally, apparently, this isn't 100% confirmed, but apparently they busted the door down and like, oh, you don't want to talk to me? Well, we're going to talk to you.
Yeah.
I feel like all the criticism that they get as being kind of wimpy and all this stuff that people say about him, I think that gets to them. And when he said those words, I walk up and down these halls every day. If you got a problem with me, come find me. And when they heard that, they're like, oh, you want us to come find you? Well, we'll come find you. Like we're not pussies. We'll come find you. Which I think on their part was them getting emotional about their own issues, and then so he had his issues, they had their issues internally, and both of their inside themselves. And I kind of think that's what really caused this whole thing, was the fact that they're all dealing with the negativity from the outside, and how they're dealing with that, and the perception that people have of all of them in certain ways kind of led this all to explode. So I put blame on all sides in this situation, but initially, yes, I would say Punk should not have done a press conference and did that. You're talking about $1 million company. He made his boss look like a fool, which Barrett Bischoff actually said on his podcast. You made your boss look like a fool in front of his bosses at Warner Brothers. Like, how is he supposed to, react to that?
Right, he blindsided him.
You have to follow his words because, it's like, how do you tell somebody like CM Punk, like, yo, dial it out. It's like, how? And
He tried, I think, when he was, real sorry for, what did he say? Oh, sorry, I didn't answer your question the first time he asked. He kind of said that a couple of times. He kind of like, maybe that part wasn't on the scrum, but maybe he brushed it off at first. And then Punk jumped in and with that.
From what I understand, he walked in and basically posed a question to the reporter.
Yeah.
He started with
We're
it.
still covered in blood.
Right.
He hasn't even out off of that.
Right. He comes
Side
in.
angle,
Yeah.
the one that was on YouTube looked like the side, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he comes in and he goes after Nick Hausman, who's a writer, who apparently has some kind of a relationship with Colt Cabana,
Yeah.
the person he was talking about. So he decided he was going to attack him, like, getting all paranoid, like, oh, you and Holt doing your improv together, kind of like, you got a
Right.
problem with me? And then later in the thing, he's like going after Brian Alvarez from Wrestling Observer.
Yeah.
Alvarez. And Alvarez, to his credit, was like answered the question perfectly. He's just like, yeah, I said that. I didn't like the fact you went into business for yourself, but I also said that, part of it was there was fault on the other side as well. So it was an equal thing. I kind of covered it 50-50. I did say that about you, but I also said, sided with you on the other thing. So, and then he kind of left him alone. Like, okay, well, you defended yourself. I'm gonna move on. So, what do you think they should do? If you were Tony Khan, you're the owner of this company. What do you think should happen right now?
Well, probably for at the moment, try to get things cooled down, suspend everyone, and then maybe after a couple of weeks, get the word on, okay, what happened, and make a final decision on what everyone did, because at this moment, as outsiders, we're only getting their say.
Right.
So it's basically give everyone what actually happened from Omega's side, Nick and Matt Jackson,
Chris Daniels, Michael Nakazawa, they're all involved and suspended now too, apparently.
What?
Because they were there.
Because they were.
Cutler was there. He's suspended now.
So all those guys are gonna be just like.
Apparently, yes. I mean, we didn't even know what really happened there. We just got a couple details about what happened.
It was that big.
I
of a-
saw it today. They said it was 6 minutes. 6 minutes this was going on. That's an eternity in a fight.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
with
it's
that
a
many
frigging eternity.
With that many people.
You could imagine how many things that were said off color by all the parties about each other.
Right.
Could you imagine being that hot and like what they would have actually said to each
So
other?
tonight's show is definitely going to be an interesting one from the sounds of it because it's just like a lot of heat going on. So people are going to be either wrestling really stiff or people are going to be just not, they are not caring.
Well, from my understanding, none of the people.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. Well, from my understanding, most of the people, the principals involved aren't going to be there. So, I mean, still be a little bit of tension, I think, regardless. But,
Guaranteed.
But I think the principals involved. The only way I see anybody who are the principals involved tonight is if they have a thought that they're going to, like, I don't know, make Punk drop the title on television to add legitimacy to this whole thing and like kind of brush it over at least with the mainstream fans, like who maybe don't know about what's really going on. But yeah, I mean, beyond that, I mean, they got to do something with the title, obviously.
Yeah,
They got to figure that out.
So-
Whether it's MJF versus somebody or Moxley, probably Moxley. Because you think about it, you can make it a case because they each got one win against each other. So really, they should have done a rubber match. They could probably have done a rubber match here, and then maybe Moxley wins the rubber match, and then Punk can go away for a while. You know what I mean? But I just don't think he's going to be at the show. Unless Tony had a really good talk with him yesterday, and like he understands, like, hey, we're going to go out there, we're going to drop the title. You're not going to run your mouth. You're not going to say anything, and you're just going to leave, and we'll figure it out later.
Well, we'll see where Punk's like. Well, I don't want to say maturity level, but at this point, it's going to have to be maturity level on whether he listens to the good reason or he just keeps on with the whole persona. I mean, at this,
Hopefully he realized he screwed up.
Yeah,
The problem with Punk though is that the man has money, and he doesn't. Ultimately, he can just walk away. He's
Yeah.
got money, and he's like, okay, well, I mean, he ultimately could say, you know what, take the title, I'm done, I quit. But the thing is, he couldn't go and wrestle anywhere else because he's under contract to AEW. So I mean, I think Tony would probably make him do a non-compete clause if he was going to walk away, because he might not go to WWE, but Freddie Prinze Jr. is starting a company. I'm serious. The man used to. No, I think it's not that.
He was a writer.
He was actually a writer for WWE.
okay, see, I
recently,
didn't know that.
so-
I did not know.
He was then-
As I say, before you start
Yeah,
laughing, let
I
me
know.
explain.
But come on, Billy
Make yourself
Corgan.
look
That's all I gotta say,
bad.
Billy Corgan. That's all I gotta say, Billy
But
Corgan.
anyway, but he's supposed to be trying to start a company. But
That's
if
cool.
I'm Freddie Prinze Jr., I'm going, yeah, leave AEW. I'll sign you to my new company. Oh,
Hello.
what just happened?
power.
That when the thing went on nightstand. This one's going. Pause it.
What do you do? Oh, there you go. There you go. Thanks, sir.
That's why you guys do that.
So, I think that they should definitely suspend all parties involved, including Punk. But the one thing they do not want to do is get rid of any of the principles involved, because you're basically going against the complete ethos of pro wrestling, which is making real issues and turning it into money. And this is a perfect money-making opportunity. The true mark of Tony Khan going forward here is probably going to be the fact that he can navigate this ship right this ship, and then turn this into the hottest Civil War style angle that you can possibly imagine with this whole thing. I mean, and if they don't do that, everybody's going to be like, you missed out on this opportunity.
Start thatching off.
You know what I mean? Like, you're coming up on the fall season. You want ratings coming up in the fall.
Yeah.
What a better way to get ratings than to create this storyline that divides everyone, including the fans. So
I think the
Doing fat
one
shit.
person that may actually get fired will probably be that Steel guy.
I agree, 100%.
Because of-
Unfortunately, he's going to be the scapegoat.
Yeah.
And he did throw a chair at Nick Jackson's face, and he was biting Kenny. I can't even imagine, But I guess his wife was in the room, and he was sticking up for his wife, who was watching Punk's dog. And as a husband, maybe you walk in, there's three guys over your friend and your wife, and there's a little dog yapping in the bed. And you come in, maybe you go overboard.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I mean, somebody's got to be a scapegoat in this situation. There's millions and millions of dollars on the line.
Silver?
It is what it is. So, Ace Steel.
I'm sorry.
He was Punk's trainer, but Punk's such a such a guy who's into his morals and ethics and scruples that he might just go, oh, you're gonna fire Ace Steel? Well, I'm out too. Then I don't need this place.
Right.
It's possible.
Yeah, that's a possibility. You're right.
It's hard to decide though, because CM Punk said how depressed he was not wrestling.
Right.
But I also feel like he has enough money that he can say I don't need you, but you need me. So
True.
It's kind of totally away.
That's why this whole thing is so compelling right now, because he's the world champion. He draws ratings. He draws money. He sells merch. And then you got your EVPs who you wouldn't even have a company if it wasn't for them.
Right.
And they drive merchandise, they sell things. So it's like you're pitting your two of your biggest money makers.
Right.
And it's like, really, if you're Tony Khan, it's like, I don't want to choose between any of these people.
Right.
I want to keep them all, and I want to make money off of this. But the thing is, he kind of comes off sometimes in the media like he's like a wimp and the pushover. I don't think that at all about Tony Khan at all.
Yeah.
He's grew up in business, He's a general manager of Fulham Football Club. He's the analytics guy for the Jaguars. He runs AEW. The guy doesn't sleep. Okay.
No, he doesn't.
Like, I'm sorry, but maybe on camera he comes off as like, I'm a good guy. I love me. He does, but he probably does in a certain way. He does appreciate all of us. But at the same time, he doesn't seem like a guy who's like, when he's pushed to a certain point, that he's not going to put his foot down. But he probably was a situation where he probably went off. I'm assuming he probably went off on Punk privately after the whole situation.
Right.
Guaranteed.
Like he's like, look, I didn't want to embarrass you up there, but you embarrassed me.
Yeah.
At least that's what I would have said.
And that's why he really didn't have any facial expression to show.
Right.
that
Except
he
for, like,
was
a few, like,
disagreeing
what-
A couple nods, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you know damn well he's
But it
not
wasn't
agreeing with
like-
everything he's saying.
Yeah.
He's just doing that to like, because what is he gonna say? He's just like, all right, stop talking or something like that.
Yeah.
And Punk would have just jumped up and he probably would have started yelling and
But he's
swearing, and it would have been a bad scene.
Yeah.
He was pretty stone faced while he was doing the huge ones. He only like agreed or disagreed when it wasn't all about like here's the full laundry out. It's just other stuff.
Right.
Because he just kind of was like stayed neutral.
Yeah.
The whole
Going
beginning
into
when he was
business
just
for himself
on
and
on.
the company and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff he was not interested on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but not when he was just going off about the guy
Yeah.
having bank account with his mom. He just literally sat there like, yeah, just kind of sat there like, I don't agree with you, and I don't agree with you. I'm just
Get it out.
Here I
That's
am.
right. You were just
Yep.
saying, Drew. Just
Yep.
get it out. Therapy session, basically.
Yep.
And the one thing I do disagree with Punk on though is the fact that like he got upset about Adam Page for this promo from a few months back on the lead up to Double or Nothing. You know, basically insinuating like, oh, I'm trying to save the company from you. And he was mad about that he didn't okay that with him. But at the same time, Eddie Kingston was using that line of logic in their feud. That, you know, you're a scumbag and I'm trying to save AEW from you. So what's the difference? Did Kingston go to him beforehand and say, hey, I'm going to call you a scumbag and you know, blah, blah, blah? Is that just it? Is that the whole crux of the biscuit here? Is that that Page didn't tell him ahead of time, hey, I'm going to use that same line of logic?
Yeah, I know some of it, but if you also look at back in the time when Punk was in WWE, when he won the belt, he kind of went from, okay, I'm Mr. Nice Guy, and then suddenly,
I'm the man.
yeah, and he kind of, the gold went to his head.
Right.
So,
I
and
missed all of that.
Well, there's the other whole thing. He has that I'm a fighter for the people type thing. So he gets the belt. Now he's got the belt, and he's like, okay, well, all the people backstage who don't like the Young Bucks, who don't like whoever, I'm sticking up for the voiceless, voice of the voiceless. He used to call himself the voice of the voiceless. So I'm going to stick up for all the people in the back who can't say talk back to the Bucks or Omega or anybody. I'm going to say what everybody else wants to say. And it's like, I get it, Punk. You're the voice of the voiceless. You're a cool guy, I get it. But, dude, you're going to destroy this company. You're going to burn this company down if you're going this route. I love the guy. I actually love the guy. I'm a fan. But at the same time, he's a lot like me. Maybe he runs his mouth too much. Sometimes he gets himself into trouble.
yeah, he's like a bad Trump, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, well, he's kind of like more like the progressive version of
Yeah.
Trump. He's like, that was one of the things too, is he was very upset that Page said something about workers' rights in that promo too, that, oh, you're not really for the people. You say you're all about workers' rights and you're just selfish. He took that offense to that real badly, I guess, from what I understand. So, it's just like the Page raw politics into it. I think that really kind of made him mad. Like, oh, you're really going to do that? Like, so, because everybody's got their own allegiances. Everybody's got, everybody knows, like, the Bucks. They're actually Republicans. They love Trump, but they don't talk about it because it's just like, here's the thing. This whole world is polarized so much with politics and shit that I think AEW goes, let's be the one place everybody can go to and not have to talk about any of that. And once you break that rule, it's like...
It brings down the rainstorm of crap.
Exactly. Everybody's mad. Everybody's upset about it. So yeah, I think they need to do something with the belt, and I think they need to figure. And I really hope that they can only do. Honestly, from a business standpoint, they can only do 2-week suspensions because they need all hands on deck for Arthur Ashe in 2 weeks. So that's the thing. It's like you can't be without the. You can't be without the elite. You can't. If you can help it, you don't want to be without Punk unless he's injured. But I think from a business standpoint, you can't really let it go any further than like 2 weeks because you need them all there at Arthur Ashe in 2 weeks. So.
Well, on the situation, on the way it sounded, I would say they should let go at least a month so to get everything. I mean, get camera footage. There has to be security camera footage of the building somewhere in there. That's videotaped. So
It's a good point. They are doing a third-party investigation of this happening on this whole thing.
So are we talking like criminal charges now?
No, I think the company is putting together an investigation so they can make the right decisions.
Right.
So I think what they're going to do is I think what they're going to do is going to be a meeting in the middle, kind of like partly what you're saying, partly what I'm saying. I think they are going to let whoever they can allow to come back for, at least the elite to come back for a Grand Slam in 2 weeks. But the investigation will be ongoing, and if they find out that there's further maybe suspensions, there should be additionally, maybe they'll get another couple weeks after Grand Slam, maybe leading up to Toronto, because Toronto is about a month after Grand Slam. So I think that's if it was me, that's probably what I do. I try to maneuver it so where everything's fair, but at the same time, you're not leaving money on the table, and you're not leaving ratings on the table by taking these guys off the show who are big ratings draws, you know. But yeah, let's get off that topic for a second. Let's talk about something a little more light. Does Daniel Garcia win the pure title tonight?
Yes,
I hope so,
absolutely, hands
yeah.
down.
His hometown.
AEW is really good with hometowns. So
Yeah.
they do a really good job. WWE almost pisses on people in their hometown, where AEW is like, we're taking care of you in your hometown.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a Let's Go Buffalo chant, possibly.
Oh, guaranteed.
I was thinking to myself, they should do like a Let's Go Buffalo, but do Daniel Garcia's name instead of hey.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Danny Garcia, Danny Garcia, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that last night.
Yeah.
I was like, that'd be kind of cool if they did that, but I don't know. That's more of an English fan thing to do, like make up songs, you know,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
words. And
Oh, yeah.
also, some American fans are not really good at that, you know, making up words for songs.
Yes. Thousands of us would all have to be on the same page on that one.
Right,
So
right,
that's where
right.
we kind of
Sometimes
fall
you
short.
can't even clap in unison, so
watch something like
it's
that,
hit or miss.
watch Pac's hometown matches. Watch those.
Okay.
They're like if you want to hear some good chants about Pac, that's what you watch.
Right on. What are they gonna do? What do you think they're gonna do with the Butcher and the Blade and Bunny tonight? Also being local Western New York Buffalo products, just like Daniel Garcia.
I'm
They gotta do
hoping,
something with them.
I'm hoping that they'll win their match.
Whoever they wrestle,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
I don't think they're gonna put them in a title match or anything. But
Open Rampage.
that sounds about right. They would probably maybe have them featured in a big match on Rampage, maybe with a win.
William, you also got to remember now that they're doing more mixed gender matches. You know, they start doing that now in AEW. I think finally, you know.
Well, they're not really doing.
Yeah.
They're not like fighting each other,
I know.
because Tony's been very against doing men on women matches. He'll do mixed tag matches, but he won't do.
Oh yeah, mixed tags.
It's a different thing.
Yeah, that just goes into the sports thing in each state of what I was told that New York is okay in MMA and boxing. You cannot have men versus women, but they didn't specify that wrestling can. But on how the nature of wrestling is, you can have a safe match and make it look good, and still have that high quality right there between men and women.
Now, do you know this for a fact, or is this just something you heard, or because you are a ref? So have you ever heard anything about men versus women in the state of New York, them not wanting to like sanction those matches, or is the New York State Athletic Commission involved in pro wrestling still in 2022 in New York?
The athletic commission is in every kind of sport. So if you want to do a sport here, like most of why MMA hasn't come here is because the sports of it is so strict,
Right.
and it's like where I go to be ref and stuff. The higher ups there always kept saying like he's friends with much of the athletic committee and understanding
Water, drink. Good.
Thank you so much.
that there's friends with the athletic committee people that come down and inspect and watch, make sure things are going right.
So somebody up there might have a hair up
They
their
were-
ass about it, and
Yeah,
You know,
There was one or two what I heard in the past that had this, but
Right.
it's not in the law that for New York to have men versus women in wrestling.
which is interesting because the whole thing with the '80s was Vince McMahon basically to subvert the athletic commissions went to them and basically said, we are not real, we are sports entertainment, this is not a sport, so therefore we should not be governed by athletic commissions. So I find that very interesting that there's still some influence of the athletic commission in the state, even though they know for a fact that it's not actually a sport, it's sports entertainment. I mean, I like to call it pro wrestling, but we all know that for the purpose of an athletic commission, it just makes life easier if you go, it's not real, so you can't really sanction it, it's not a sport, technically.
Right.
And we might present it as a sport, but it's not a sport. But anyways, let's move on because we've been going for about 25 minutes now. So we got some other questions we're going to get to here. So all out, rank it 1 out of 10. What do you think?
I would say it was a good 7.
Okay.
I agree, 6.
Solid.
Okay.
7. I like that.
I will say 7.5. We'll use points. Best match on the show, in your opinion.
I mean, probably the best was probably the trios match was pretty good.
Okay.
No, my opinion, Jericho's match. That's all I'm here for.
I'm gonna say the casino ladder match.
Really?
That was
Yeah, that was like
Even with the angle.
nonstop.
I mean, the angle,
Yeah.
you're okay with the angle at the end.
Yeah.
Although it was pretty cool,
It was-
sympathy for the devil. I mean, come
I
on.
am quite alright with that.
Okay.
Because I mean, it was nonstop from start all the way to the end.
Right on. Okay.
We might all be different. I like the tag team championship match. I'd say that one.
And we are going to be different. It was the crowd was into that. Like they were so into the acclaimed.
I love the finish. It had me. I was shocked. The whole match was great.
I was shocked how good it was. I mean, I thought it was a good match. It was going to be a good match regardless, but I was like shocked how good it was. I was like, man, damn, this is really good.
And the thing is, I'll say it once and I'll say it again. Ladder matches always make me nervous, but at the same time, it's almost like watching a train wreck. You want to look away, but you just can't help it.
It's kind of the appeal, right?
You know, I mean,
Definitely keeps your attention.
every time I see a ladder match, all I think is Matt Hardy's face. That's all I think about.
Well, I'm gonna say something different. I'm gonna say I like the main event. Moxley and Punk. Thought they did a great start. Told a great story. It was old school pro wrestling, but with a modern twist, obviously. Punk bled like a sieve, and it was great. I mean, just good fashion pro wrestling. So yeah, the fact we all had a different choice, I think that actually illustrates how good AEW is the fact that we all had a different choice. But I appreciated everything on the show, honestly, really. But
Like the main event was good, but all respect for Jericho.
And the women's match.
that was a great match too, though.
Yeah.
The women's matches were really good also.
I was like very impressed with the 4-way. I thought the 4-way was good. Like Jamie Hayter, like I'm a big Jamie Hayter fan. The 4-way was unbelievable, and the crowd was behind her. And I was just telling you guys off camera that I shared a post, this week on a AEW group I was in last week, and it got over 1,000 likes. And it was about Jamie Hayter should become the world champion, and then if she becomes world champion, you create like 3 or 4 different new storylines out of that. And she's like, I think physically the best candidate. She doesn't get injured. She can talk pretty well. She has good mannerisms. I'm just a big fan of Jamie Hayter. So, 3 favorite things about AEW. People, things, angles, whatever. You get it.
So far, storylines have been a lot better since Cody's not there.
Well, when you always say not Cody,
Okay.
Because Cody never finished the story.
kept your hopes down.
The whole where it's not a whole again. It was probably before the whole situation happened. It was like the whole family style of attitude towards everything,
Yeah.
where it didn't seem like everyone was coming.
It was
out
separate. It was like a separate company almost.
Yeah.
The Codyverse, as they referred to it as.
Yeah,
They called it the Codyverse.
They weren't attacking each other or blaming each other for this and blaming for that. It was like everyone kind of like had their own thing and kind of meshed. It sounded like they all meshed well until recent activities of Punk and all that kind of.
Right.
blew that out of the water.
So yeah, Cody being gone. What else? What else do you like? Or who do you like? What do you appreciate?
So many different things. Like most of the wrestlers there I do like. From Page, I think Daniel Garcia is probably the top favorite.
He's a local favorite. You gotta love it. Love it.
Local
He's our boy.
Trained out of the gym.
Yes,
He wrestles.
exactly. I've seen a lot of, I'm totally down for it, and the fact that we have a kid from our area that could potentially be one of the biggest stars in the world in the next 10 years. So it's possible, So we got that going for us, which is nice. What do you think?
Wow,
Jericho and Jericho.
Well, the thing I don't like as much as I like Jericho is his little team or whatever they call it.
Jericho Appreciation
Like,
Society.
why does it change so much? Like, it's hard to follow. Like, who's in, who's out.
The only thing that's changed is, he's got the Inner Circle, and then the Inner Circle broke up. Now he's got the Jericho Appreciation Society, who have some of the same members.
Yeah, but like, why does that just change so much? And why does he have so many outlets?
Well, I think it's because he's an entertainer.
Yeah.
He's rich.
More of an entertainer.
Well, he does say I'm a sports entertainer,
Yeah,
a pro
he does,
wrestler,
yeah.
So, anything else other than Jericho, though?
No.
No? Because you're here for the Jericho, for the Wizard.
So, don't get me wrong, I love Chris Jericho, so I'm here for Jericho too. But also, Danhausen, I really appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, well, I love Danhausen.
And then they need to do more hook housing.
Get Danhausen the monies.
Yeah. They need to do more, hook in a housing. Like, actual match, I want to see them wrestle. I know he's a novelty, but I know he can wrestle. Come on.
I've seen him wrestle, actually. He can wrestle.
Yeah, exactly. He's not bad.
Down in
With
the
hook.
Indies, he was definitely
good.
And now that he's up in the pros, it's like
They almost use him as shit.
Well, he does generate merchandise sales, and he has a character. I think they will let him wrestle here and there, but the thing is, Tony's balancing so many things. It's like, do I have time to let Danhausen wrestle 10, 15-minute matches every week? Do I want Daniel Bryan to wrestle a match, or do I want Danhausen to wrestle that match? It's just those tough decisions that you have to make as an owner. It's like, well, I'd like to give you more time, man, but I only have 3 hours of TV every week, So, Bob, so what do you love about it?
I really like that there doesn't seem to be wasted motions. Every match is set up, whether it's the smallest Rampage or whatever match, it's set up somehow. I like that part of the storytelling.
Me too.
And the other part I really like about AEW is that it's set up a lot more like MMA. I like the ranking system. So even squash matches on Dark and Elevation count.
Yeah.
That's how they push and build up characters, and I like that.
And not that, but if you're a psycho like me, you're gonna watch all those programs, and so.
Because I don't think there's wasted motions. I think everything is intentional, and I like that.
I agree,
It
100%.
makes it easier to get involved in all the content. Where with WWE, I just don't care about all that stuff and watching everything they have.
Right.
But with AEW, I do.
Right on. Well, I would say we talked about this off air, but I would say the thing I love most about AEW is the fact that we basically all live vicariously through Tony Khan and his booking and his vision of pro wrestling, because it's a lot like mine. And when I hear him talk in interviews, and when I see what he does on the show and the angles he creates in the matches, I'm just like, most of the time it's like, I would have done that, or I wish I would have done that. So it's hard for me to dislike it. I will give them criticism when they deserve it, honestly. But most of the time, like he said, it's almost like there's no wasted motion. They set everything up. It's like they just don't throw shit out there and like expect it to stick. There's a reason behind everything. What time is it right now?
It's 20 after.
20 after? Okay.
So I also hope that the first thing we talked about is a work and they're playing us.
Yes, I really, really do hope that this whole thing is this giant, elaborate ruse, a masterful ruse, and this is all to get us to tune in and to create fan engagement and to create this crazy storyline, Civil War storyline, So, quick, who's the young MJF is the best young star in AEW? If not MJF, who's the future of AEW?
Daniel Garcia.
Yeah, Daniel Garcia.
Rip it.
The future?
Yes, let me say that.
Okay. Okay.
Why not?
Okay.
Women's.
Well, that'll be my next question. What's the future of the women's division?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me think of a man.
Yeah. You got any of the 4 pillars? Hook, of course. MJF.
Not MJF. Yeah, that was tough. Yeah, MJF. I like the TBS title, but I really hope they do a better job of building women up to compete in both categories. I feel like they're only building up to go at TBS, and they're starting to rush. It's getting a little thin on who's going to challenge for the women's title.
Well, yeah, they are. We were talking about that earlier. So it's like they're just kind of like feeding people to Jade, and it's like eventually you got to let somebody beat her. Like,
There is some good competition in women's division.
Out of those 37 wins, I think a good majority, like good 20 to 30 of them, were just jobber women.
oh yeah, 100%.
And it's
Squash.
it's like you can't really consider that a win against a jobber and think that they're going to win the belt from you. You got to have someone really good like Baker or Peter.
Any of
Thunder
the
Rosa.
Sheeta, any of the good workers.
A couple of our best matches were against Stan and Jay. That's the best they've thrown at her so far. Or
Athena, yeah. I think she wrestled Ruby too, maybe once.
Yeah.
She wrestled Ruby once.
To me, I think Athena should have won that belt. If
I agree. I understand why they didn't give it to her. I get it. But I don't know, it's just like Tony really has this he's enamored with this whole idea of like, oh, we need to create like a Goldberg type thing, it's just like, I don't know, it's just like, your division, your women's division is fragile, as it is right now. To put a monster in there that's just gonna lay waste to all of your wrestlers, like, I just don't think you're in a position right now to really do that. Like,
you want a monster, put Nyla Rose against her.
right. But they want to. I guess they would probably want to build that up. But how long are you gonna wait? Like, how long are you gonna wait? But okay, last question. Do you prefer? The ultimate question. Do you prefer great wrestling matches or compelling storylines? You can only have one. Everybody wants both, but I mean, because that's what AEW is about. But
I would say it probably comes to good storytelling, because one of the things that turned me off against WWE was
no storytelling.
that. Yeah, I was watching it.
Or just on top, they did a good job. The Roman storyline's good. Other than that, they do nothing.
Well, I went through. I watched the whole Austin thing until he left there or whatever, and I was like, okay. And then I was watching the John Cena stuff, and I noticed like for 2 weeks that they were telling the same exact story what they did with Austin with Cena, and I was like, okay, this is stupid. I'm done.
Of course.
And it was like,
Yeah, I hear you. I 100%. Your thoughts? Storylines.
Wrestling. I like a good technical match that goes non-stop. Fun story.
Very close for me. But I think compelling storylines create better wrestling matches. So therefore, almost like you need I appreciate great matches as much as anybody, but I think it adds an extra element when there's storyline involved and emotion involved, because wrestling is an emotional thing. You need fan interaction, you need interaction between the performers, the vibes in the place. It's all kind of connected. So
And we need more sheep wrestling.
well, they have that. You can find it here and there. You got to look around for it. But anyways, all right, that's it, everybody. Thanks for listening or watching Wax Poetic Pro Wrestling. We're going to Dynamite tonight. Hopefully you're there. It should be an historic evening. Have a good time.
And hey, before we go though, don't forget to mention that friendly buffet at